Hey everybody, it's Charlie from DM Sound, and today we've got the sound system demo on the 2023 Mazda CX-5 and its base 6-speaker sound system. This is going to be an in-depth review. We're going to take a look at how the infotainment system works, take a look at audio inputs, adjustments, and controls, speaker locations, then we're going to head out on the road and listen to these sample tracks while we're rolling, and I'll give you my thoughts at the end. Now, if you don't care about any of that stuff at the beginning and you just want to hear the music, click ahead in the video. We've got chapters to get you right to the tunes. And I recommend listening with headphones so you can hear exactly what I hear in the driver's seat. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. I'm actually really excited that we have the opportunity to test a bass non-Bose sound system in a Mazda here, because Mazda almost always sends us fully loaded trims, but because of a lot of the chip shortage and inventory and supply chain issues that vehicle manufacturers have been facing, this Mazda CX-5 actually comes with a delete of the standard Bose sound system as well as the powered liftback. So you get a little money off the sticker price of the car and in exchange this base sound system. So we're getting the opportunity to test it. We haven't had a bunch of time with this CX-5 Carbon Edition. The only other video we're going to have is probably just the Winding Road test drive. I'll put the link to that in the description. I don't think Chris and I are going to have a chance to come out and review this car holistically. Now, we always do these tests with lossless, uncompressed WAV files on a USB stick plugged directly into the system, and high-quality Roland binaural microphones in both of my ears, giving you the most realistic audio system demo on YouTube. We also do the test with the sound settings set to their factory default, so let's take a look at those now. No touchscreen in the Mazda CX-5. You got to make do with this rotary knob. Once you get used to using it, you'll find it's very nice to use, very easy to keep your eye on the road and just sort of toggle around with this control here. I do wish you could still touch the screen though in certain situations. We're in the music screen now. Let's press down. Oh, well, see, already making mistakes. That is our audio control. We got to come over to get to audio settings. And then you're greeted with sound adjustment mode on basic. Let's get to that here in a minute, because you go down and you see, oh, I've only got adjustments for bass and treble. But if you go up here to sound adjustment mode and turn this into advanced, you see something that I have not seen on any car I've ever reviewed the sound system on. I find this hilarious. You have all of these EQs, which at first you go up here, and we've seen these before. Okay, so, you know, maybe you get a custom head unit or something and you see things like flat EQ here, and then pop, and then rock, and jazz, R&B, and classical. You're like, okay, so those are just kind of gimmicky, you know, adjusting the music for certain types adjusting the EQ for certain types of music, not a big deal. But then when you get down to these custom 1, 2, and 3, you go down to customize EQ, and you're actually greeted with a 12-band equalizer. I've never seen an EQ with this many adjustments in any new car right now, from 16,000 hertz all the way down to 40 hertz, full bass and full treble. You can really fine-tune your EQ exactly how you're going to want it, and I find that so funny because this is just a bass sound system. If you get the Bose, you don't get anything but those 2, maybe 3 bands of EQ. So it's really funny to me that Mazda gives you all this adjustability. So I guess if you're somehow an audiophile but also stuck with the base 6-speaker system, you can really customize it. I don't see many end users actually using that. I appreciate they have it, but I just find it kind of funny. So I think it's good that they just provide this basic sound adjustment mode. So let's go through the bass and treble. So good amount of adjustability there, and like I said, if you need any more, you've got the advanced mode. Then below that you have listening position, either all seats or driver's seat. If you're driving around just yourself, you should have it focused on driver's seat. That's actually going to adapt the sound to focus right here on the driver, and it's going to sound better for most music, but we'll leave it on all seats for this test. Then you have your front, rear, left, right, fader, and balance, automatic level control, so as you get going faster, the music's going to pick up in volume. It's interesting that there's 7 different adjustments for that. And then automatic source level adjustment, so it's supposed to keep your volume level consistent across all inputs. We're going to leave that off. And that's it for audio adjustments. For audio controls here in the CX-5, you've got a volume knob here right by the rotary knob. It works pretty well, and you can press it down for to mute. Then you also have volume on the left side of the wheel as a rocker. For track selection, no physical control, and that bothers me a little bit. I wish you could just move the volume knob back and forth to do track selection. Instead, you have to be in the right screen and then hit playback controls, and then use the center rotary knob, or you can use the left side of the wheel here, right next to volume. For audio inputs, you have your standard AM, FM, Sirius XM satellite radio, Bluetooth, support for wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and USB-A ports, and that is it. So what does that mean you're missing? Well, there's no streaming built in, no sort of, well, sorry, take that back. There is Pandora streaming right there, but no sort of Spotify or Apple Music or Tidal or anything like that. No wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, no USB-C ports, and no 3.5mm auxiliary input jack. Speaker locations. As I said, this is a 6-speaker system. Starting in the bottom left, door woofer 1, tweeter, that's actually probably a woofer mid-ranger-ish there. Tweeter 2, 3-4 on the other side. You do have a speaker grill up front there, and it looks like there's a speaker hole, but there shouldn't be any sort of speaker in there. That's probably just reserved for the Bose, because back here you've got 5 and 6 in the doors. All right, I'm gonna get this stuff put away so we can head out on the road. This system is doing the best it can with such a basic speaker setup. 6 speakers are on a vehicle this size. They're well tuned, and they sound like pretty quality speakers. I like the way all the sounds are being placed. I think the sound engineers did a really bang up job for what they were dealt with. However, if I were Mazda, whoever's calling the shots, if I got the bad news that they weren't going to be able to get enough Bose sound systems to supply the non-turbo cars with Bose sound systems, I would have done something to at least get a subwoofer into this bass audio system, because a subwoofer would have made the whole system sound that much better. Not only would the bass have been better, but then you can take a little bit of work away from these mid-rangers down here and allow them to focus on more of the mid-range and less of the bass, and take a little bit of mid-range away from these tweeters, allow them to be just that little bit more crispy, because I'm getting a little bit of harshness from this upper end area of the car, and I don't love that. So one extra speaker, the subwoofer in the trunk, would have gone a long, long way for this system. Speaking of bass, for this next song, we'll turn the bass all the way up and see what we get. Yeah, there it is. That's not fantastic. And that wouldn't happen with a subwoofer. Wrapping up my thoughts on the 6-speaker sound system here in the Mazda CX-5. If it weren't for the fact that the Bose system in the Mazda CX-5 was so darn good and class leading, this would be a perfectly acceptable system. I know there are probably a lot of you who are in the market for either CX-5 or CX-30 or some sort of Mazda product, and you're on that fence of like, okay, well, the Bose is limited availability, but I don't need the turbo motor, so, you know, would I be okay going with this? If you're someone who just listens to casual music, you'd be just fine with this system. But if you're someone who does really enjoy rocking out, I hate to say it, but this is one of those cars where it is worth paying what you need to pay to get up to that Bose sound system, because it is that good. If we were just dealing with a mediocre, like a B-tier Harman Kardon or something, then yeah, I'd say stick with this, because this is coming in at a pretty solid C. I was leaning on the upper side of C, and I still probably am, because it's slightly above average, but the lack of bass does not help. It's okay bass for kind of mid-bass type songs from these speakers, but when you need that woofer, it really falls short. So, if you love music, I'm sorry, but you gotta pony up for the Bose. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the CX-5 in general, check the link in the description. We've got tons of videos on this car. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from DM Sound, and as always, drive on.